Most people think karma is loud. They think it arrives with chaos, confrontation, or obvious revenge. But that belief is wrong. In 2026, karma doesn't scream. It watches, it waits, and it acts in silence. This is why hurting a Scorpio is one of the most dangerous mistakes a person can make. Not because Scorpio will chase you, attack you, or expose you, but because they don't have to. Scorpio is not the sign that reacts immediately. They withdraw, they observe, they remember. And while you believe nothing happened, something much larger is already moving. You see, Scorpio doesn't punish people. They activate consequences. When you cross a Scorpio, you cross a boundary the universe takes seriously. Not emotionally, energetically, karmically. And this is what most people never realize until it's too late. Scorpio doesn't need revenge. Silence is enough. Because in that silence, karma begins to rearrange things in your life. Your relationships shift. Your opportunities disappear. Your trust breaks down in places you never expected. And you won't connect it to that moment, that choice, that line you crossed. In this video, we're going to explore 20 reasons why you should never hurt a Scorpio, and why in 2026, karma doesn't rush, it remembers. Some of these reasons are psychological, some are emotional, and some are deeply karmic. Stay until the end, because one of these reasons explains why karma never needs a Scorpio's permission to act. If this message already feels familiar, leave a comment below. And now, let's begin. Reason 20. Scorpio withdraws and karma rebalances. From a research perspective, Scorpio rarely responds the way people expect. There is no immediate confrontation, no emotional outburst, no public reaction. When a Scorpio is hurt, the first response is withdrawal. This is not avoidance and it is not weakness, it is evaluation. Scorpio's psychological structure is designed to step back and reassess the entire bond the moment a boundary is crossed. They stop engaging emotionally, not to punish, but to understand what the interaction has revealed. At that moment, something subtle but significant occurs. The emotional exchange ends and the karmic process begins. Scorpio does not seek balance through reaction. They allow imbalance to expose itself. When they withdraw, the energetic contract between two people changes. Access is removed. Influence dissolves. The dynamic quietly collapses on its own. This is why people often feel confused after hurting a Scorpio. There is no obvious consequence at first. Life simply starts to feel misaligned. Relationships become strained. Support weakens. Opportunities that once felt natural begin to disappear without explanation. From a karmic standpoint, this is not coincidence. It is recalibration. Scorpio's silence creates a vacuum where intention is examined by the universe itself. Karma does not respond to drama, it responds to integrity. And when integrity is violated, Scorpio steps out of the equation so balance can be restored without interference. Life lesson. Scorpio teaches one of the most important lessons in human interaction. Not every consequence arrives as conflict. Some arrive as absence. When someone removes themselves without argument, without explanation, and without resistance, it often means the exchange has reached its natural conclusion. From a long-term astrological perspective, Scorpio embodies the principle that boundaries do not need enforcement, they need clarity. When respect ends, energy withdraws. And when energy withdraws, karma completes the process. Understanding this helps us live more consciously. Not by fearing Scorpio, but by respecting the unseen rules that govern trust, depth, and responsibility. If this insight reflects something you've experienced, comment below and share your perspective. And this brings us directly to the next reason. Because withdrawal is only the first stage of how Scorpio reshapes karmic outcomes. Reason 19. Scorpio's loyalty functions as an energetic contract. From a long-term research perspective, Scorpio does not offer loyalty casually. When they commit, it is not symbolic, it is structural. Scorpio's loyalty operates like an energetic contract. Once established, it creates stability, protection, and mutual responsibility within the relationship. When that contract is honored, growth flows naturally. When it is violated, the structure collapses quietly, but permanently. Scorpio does not retaliate when loyalty is broken. They disengage. And the moment they disengage, the karmic agreement dissolves. What follows often feels confusing to the one who caused the breach. There is no dramatic fallout, no confrontation. Instead, the benefits that once existed simply vanish. Support disappears. Access closes. Trust no longer functions. From a karmic standpoint, this is correction, not revenge. Loyalty, when violated, does not demand punishment, it demands rebalancing. Scorpio understands this instinctively. They do not attempt to repair what has lost integrity. They allow karma to restructure the outcome. Life lesson. Loyalty is not about words or time invested. It is about energetic consistency. Scorpio teaches that when loyalty is treated lightly, the consequences are rarely immediate, but always final. When trust collapses, access collapses with it. And no amount of explanation can rebuild a structure that integrity has already left. If this insight aligns with something you've witnessed, comment below and share your experience. And this leads directly to the next reason. Because once loyalty is broken, Scorpio's emotional processing becomes deeply internal. Reason 18. Scorpio processes pain internally, not emotionally. One of the most misunderstood Scorpio traits is emotional control. Scorpio experiences pain deeply, but they do not externalize it. They turn inward. From a research perspective, this internal processing is not repression, it is integration. Scorpio dissects emotional injury carefully. They analyze intent, pattern, and meaning before deciding how to move forward. Because of this, people often assume they have gotten away with hurting a Scorpio. Nothing seems to happen. But internally, a decision has already been made. When Scorpio processes pain internally, they remove emotional charge from the situation. And when emotion exits, karma enters. What follows is not an emotional reaction, it is a structural shift. The relationship changes form. The dynamic loses momentum. The future quietly closes its doors. From a karmic viewpoint, Scorpio does not deliver consequences. They step aside and allow the imbalance to correct itself. This is why karmic outcomes associated with Scorpio are often delayed but precise. Life lesson. Emotional restraint is not emotional weakness, it is discernment. Scorpio demonstrates that reacting less does not mean feeling less. It means understanding more. Life teaches us that when someone stops responding emotionally, the lesson is no longer about conflict, it is about consequence. Pain processed internally often leads to the most irreversible outcomes. If this lesson resonates with your own experience, comment below. And this naturally brings us to the next reason. Because Scorpio's internal processing directly strengthens their resilience. Reason 17. Scorpio turns pain into long-term strength. From extensive observation, Scorpio possesses one of the strongest survival-oriented psyches in astrology. When hurt, Scorpio does not collapse. They consolidate. Pain becomes data. Loss becomes refinement. Betrayal becomes clarity. Rather than breaking them, emotional injury activates Scorpio's adaptive core. They restructure their inner world and emerge with stronger boundaries, sharper perception, and reduced vulnerability. This is why attempts to harm a Scorpio often backfire over time. The Scorpio evolves while the source of harm remains energetically exposed. Scorpio does not chase redemption or closure. They integrate the experience and move forward with greater precision. From a karmic perspective, this transformation matters deeply. Karma favors growth. When Scorpio transforms pain into strength, the imbalance shifts away from them and toward the original cause. The universe does not reward harm, it rewards resilience. Life lesson. True strength is not the absence of pain. It is the ability to metabolize pain into wisdom. Scorpio teaches that suffering does not define outcome, response does. When someone grows stronger after being hurt, the karmic lesson transfers to the one who caused the damage. Growth completes the lesson. Stagnation receives it. If you've witnessed this pattern in your own life, comment below. And this brings us to the next reason. Because Scorpio's strength is inseparable from their intolerance for deception. Reason 16. Scorpio cannot coexist with dishonesty. Truth is not a preference for Scorpio. It is a requirement. From a research standpoint, Scorpio operates with an advanced truth detection system. They sense inconsistencies long before evidence appears. Lies disrupt Scorpio's internal equilibrium. And once dishonesty is detected, trust does not weaken, it collapses. Scorpio does not argue with deception. They disengage from it. This disengagement is often mistaken for forgiveness. It is not. It is recalibration. When dishonesty enters a relationship with Scorpio, the energetic alignment breaks, and karma responds by removing coherence from the bond. The liar often believes the situation has been resolved. In reality, the future has already been altered. From a karmic perspective, deception creates delayed consequences. Truth always resurfaces, and when it does, it restructures reality rather than emotions. Scorpio understands this instinctively. They do not chase explanations. They allow truth to expose itself in time. Life lesson. Honesty is not about morality. It is about stability. Scorpio teaches that lies do not damage relationships immediately. They damage futures. When truth is violated, alignment dissolves, and karma corrects what integrity cannot sustain. If this insight resonates with your experience, comment below. And this leads us directly to the next reason. Because Scorpio's perception goes far beyond words. Reason 15. Scorpio observes patterns, not moments. One of the most underestimated Scorpio traits is observational depth. Scorpio does not judge behavior based on a single incident. They track patterns, tone shifts, repeated choices, inconsistencies between words and actions. From a research perspective, Scorpio's perception functions longitudinally. They study behavior over time, not reactions in isolation. This means that when the Scorpio is hurt, the injury is rarely seen as an accident. It is contextualized. They ask a deeper question. Is this who you are, or was this a deviation? Once a pattern becomes clear, Scorpio adjusts permanently. They do not confront every inconsistency. They simply update their internal model of the relationship. And when that model changes, the future changes with it. From a karmic standpoint, patterns matter more than apologies. Karma responds to repetition, not excuses. This is why consequences associated with Scorpio often feel delayed but decisive. They emerge after patterns are confirmed, not when emotions peak. Life lesson. Life is shaped by repeated behavior, not isolated moments. Scorpio teaches that trust is not broken by a single mistake, but by the pattern that mistake belongs to. When someone stops reacting and starts observing, the lesson has already moved beyond forgiveness. If this insight resonates with what you've seen in your own relationships, comment below. And this naturally leads us to the next reason. Because Scorpio's observational depth is inseparable from their emotional intensity. Reason 14. Scorpio's emotional depth amplifies karmic impact. Scorpio experiences emotion on a deeper spectrum than most people realize. They do not skim the surface of connection. They immerse. From a research standpoint, this depth creates amplification. Emotional energy invested by Scorpio carries weight. When trust is honored, this depth creates powerful bonds. When trust is violated, the energetic impact is equally strong. Hurting a Scorpio does not just affect feelings. It disrupts an emotional system that was fully engaged. Because Scorpio invests completely, betrayal is not absorbed lightly. It alters the emotional field of the relationship, and karma responds accordingly. This is why karmic outcomes linked to Scorpio often feel disproportionate. They are not. They reflect the depth of energy that was originally involved. From a karmic perspective, the universe responds to intensity with precision. The deeper the investment, the clearer the correction. Life lesson. Depth magnifies consequence. Scorpio teaches that emotional investment is never neutral. What you enter deeply, you exit meaningfully. When you damage a bond built on depth, the lesson does not fade quickly. It reshapes emotional memory. If this lesson aligns with your experience, comment below. And this brings us directly to the next reason. Because emotional depth influences how Scorpio remembers everything. Reason 13. Scorpio does not forgive easily because trust is structural. Forgiveness for Scorpio is not an emotional gesture. It is a structural decision. From a research perspective, Scorpio views trust as an internal architecture that supports long-term connection. Once that structure is compromised, restoring it is not simple and often not possible. This is why Scorpio's forgiveness appears rare or delayed. They are not holding grudges. They are evaluating whether integrity can realistically be rebuilt. When a Scorpio decides not to forgive, it is not driven by anger. It is driven by clarity. They understand that repairing a broken structure without addressing its foundation leads to collapse later. So instead of forcing reconciliation, they allow distance to create truth. From a karmic standpoint, this choice is significant. Karma does not reward false harmony. It restores balance by removing what cannot sustain honesty. When Scorpio steps back instead of forgiving prematurely, karma completes the separation naturally. Life lesson. Forgiveness is not always healing. Sometimes discernment is. Scorpio teaches that releasing someone does not mean carrying resentment. It means refusing to rebuild on unstable ground. When forgiveness comes without accountability, imbalance grows. When distance appears, balance often returns. If this lesson resonates with your experience, comment below. And this leads us directly to the next reason. Because Scorpio's discernment extends beyond themselves to those they protect. Reason 12. Scorpio's protective instinct activates karmic defense. Scorpio's loyalty is not limited to personal bonds. It extends outward to those they consider part of their inner circle. From a research perspective, Scorpio functions as a guardian archetype. When they commit emotionally, protection becomes instinctive. If someone harms a person, Scorpio loves or disrespects a bond. Scorpio values The response is not emotional retaliation, it is boundary enforcement. Scorpio does not escalate conflict. They restrict access. They remove influence. They reposition themselves between harm and what they protect. From a karmic standpoint, this protective withdrawal carries weight. When protection is activated, karma responds by isolating the source of harm. This is why individuals who harm Scorpio's loved ones often experience sudden resistance in life without knowing why. It is not punishment, it is containment. Scorpio understands that protection does not require confrontation, it requires presence and limits. Life lesson: protection is not aggression, it is clarity. Scorpio teaches that defending what matters does not mean attacking others. It means knowing where access ends. When boundaries are enforced calmly, karma reinforces them quietly. If this insight aligns with something you've witnessed, comment below. And this brings us naturally to the next reason. Because Scorpio's protection is guided by an intuition that rarely fails. Reason 11. Scorpio's intuition detects misalignment before evidence appears. Scorpio's intuition is not mystical guesswork. It is pattern recognition operating beneath conscious thought. From a research perspective, Scorpio senses emotional incongruence before facts surface. They feel shifts in intention, tone, and motivation long before behavior becomes obvious. This is why attempts to deceive a Scorpio rarely succeed. Even when no proof exists, alignment already feels broken. When Scorpio senses misalignment, they do not accuse, they observe. They allow reality to reveal itself without interference. And as time passes, truth inevitably surfaces, often without Scorpio needing to say a word. From a karmic standpoint, intuition accelerates correction. Karma responds faster when intention is detected early. This is why those who hurt a Scorpio often feel exposed later, even if the Scorpio never confronts them. Truth doesn't need announcement, it needs time. Life lesson: intuition is intelligence operating quietly. Scorpio teaches that truth does not require investigation, it requires awareness. When you sense misalignment and choose not to ignore it, you step out of confusion and into clarity. If this insight reflects your experience, comment below. And this brings us directly to the next reason. Because Scorpio's intuition is supported by deep self-sufficiency. Reason 10. Scorpio's self-sufficiency removes dependency from karma. One of Scorpio's most underestimated traits is independence. Scorpio does not rely on external validation, protection, or resolution. They handle themselves. From a research standpoint, this self-sufficiency is crucial. It allows Scorpio to step away without fear, urgency, or attachment. When hurt, Scorpio does not seek closure from the source. They create it internally. This removes emotional leverage from the situation. And when leverage disappears, karma takes full control of outcome. People often assume Scorpio's silence means weakness. In reality, it signals completion. The moment Scorpio no longer needs resolution from you, the karmic exchange becomes one-sided, and karma resolves it accordingly. Life lesson: dependency delays consequence. Independence allows it. Scorpio teaches that when you stop needing answers from others, life answers for you. Self-sufficiency is not isolation, it is freedom from imbalance. If this lesson resonates with your own journey, comment below. And this leads us naturally to the next reason, because independence strengthens Scorpio's psychological influence. Reason 9. Scorpio exerts psychological influence without direct action. Scorpio's psychological power is often misunderstood as manipulation. In reality, it is awareness combined with restraint. From a research perspective, Scorpio understands human behavior deeply. They recognize motivation, insecurity, and intent without needing to control outcomes directly. When hurt, Scorpio does not engage in psychological games. They disengage from them, and this withdrawal alters the psychological balance of the interaction. People often feel unsettled after crossing a Scorpio, not because something was said, but because something changed. The absence of response creates uncertainty. The lack of emotional feedback forces self-reflection. From a karmic standpoint, this psychological vacuum is powerful. Karma works most effectively when individuals confront their own behavior without external distraction. Scorpio's silence removes narrative control. And when narrative control disappears, truth surfaces. Life lesson: power does not always announce itself. Scorpio teaches that the strongest psychological influence is created by non-participation. When you stop feeding imbalance, imbalance exposes itself. If this observation resonates with what you've experienced, comment below. And this brings us directly to the next reason, because Scorpio's psychological depth is fueled by intense passion. Reason 8. Scorpio's passion makes betrayal karmically significant. Scorpio approaches life with full emotional investment. Whether in relationships, purpose, or commitment, they do not engage halfway. From a research standpoint, this intensity creates energetic weight. What Scorpio invests in carries consequence. When trust is honored, their passion strengthens connection. When trust is violated, the rupture is profound. Hurting a Scorpio is not a minor emotional event. It disrupts a deeply invested system. Because Scorpio commits, fully betrayal does not dissipate quickly. It alters the emotional trajectory of everyone involved. From a karmic perspective, intensity amplifies outcome. The universe responds proportionally to emotional investment. This is why karmic responses connected to Scorpio often feel unavoidable. They match the depth that was originally given. Life lesson. Intensity magnifies truth. Scorpio teaches that when you enter something deeply, you must exit it consciously. Careless behavior in deep connections does not fade, it transforms into lasting consequence. If this lesson reflects something in your life, comment below. And this naturally leads us to the next reason. Because passion fuels Scorpio's relentless perseverance. Reason 7. Scorpio never gives up on inner transformation. Scorpio's persistence is often mistaken for stubbornness. In reality, it is evolutionary commitment. From a research perspective, Scorpio is wired for transformation. When faced with loss, betrayal, or emotional collapse, they do not retreat permanently, they rebuild. Scorpio does not seek to return to who they were before the injury. They aim to become something stronger, clearer, and more self-defined. This is why harming a Scorpio rarely produces the result people expect. The Scorpio evolves. The situation does not. While Scorpio moves forward, the energetic residue of harm remains with its source. Karma follows stagnation more closely than growth. From a karmic standpoint, perseverance shifts consequence. The one who transforms exits the lesson. The one who resists it receives repetition. Scorpio understands this instinctively. They do not chase justice, they outgrow the situation entirely. Life lesson. Growth is the most decisive response to harm. Scorpio teaches that when you refuse to remain defined by injury, the karmic weight transfers away from you. Transformation ends cycles. Resistance repeats them. If this lesson reflects something you've experienced, comment below. And this brings us directly to the next reason. Because Scorpio's transformation is protected by their control over information. Reason 6. Scorpio controls access through silence and discretion. One of Scorpio's most powerful traits is discretion. Scorpio does not reveal everything they know, and they do not share information carelessly. From a research standpoint, Scorpio understands that information is not power, access is. When trust is intact, Scorpio shares openly. When trust is violated, access quietly disappears. They do not weaponize secrets emotionally. They simply stop offering vulnerability, insight, and influence. This shift often goes unnoticed at first, but over time the absence becomes consequential. Opportunities close. Support thins. Connections weaken without explanation. From a karmic perspective, loss of access is a form of correction. It is not punishment, it is recalibration. Scorpio allows silence to enforce boundaries more effectively than confrontation ever could. Life lesson. Not everything valuable is loud. Scorpio teaches that discretion preserves integrity, and when integrity is breached, access ends. The most significant losses in life are often invisible at first until their absence is fully felt. If this insight resonates with your experience, comment below. And this naturally leads us to the next reason. Because respect determines whether access ever returns. Reason 5. Respect is the foundation of every Scorpio bond. For Scorpio, respect is not optional. It is the structural base of all connection. From a research perspective, Scorpio does not measure respect through politeness or surface behavior. They measure it through consistency, honesty, and regard for emotional boundaries. When respect is present, Scorpio invests deeply. When it is violated, emotional access closes, often permanently. Scorpio does not argue over disrespect. They recognize it. And once recognized, the internal shift is immediate. What people often misunderstand is that Scorpio may remain outwardly calm after being disrespected, but internally the relationship has already changed form. From a karmic standpoint, disrespect signals imbalance, and karma responds by removing stability from the dynamic. People who lose a Scorpio's respect often notice gradual erosion in the relationship rather than sudden collapse. The bond weakens, trust fades, influence disappears. Life lesson. Respect is not proven through apology. It is proven through sustained behavior. Scorpio teaches that once respect is lost, recovery is rare, not because of pride, but because integrity cannot be negotiated. When respect ends, alignment ends with it. If this insight aligns with something you've experienced, comment below. And this leads us directly to the next reason. Because Scorpio's respect is tied to a memory that does not fade. Reason 4. Scorpio's memory preserves unresolved actions. Scorpio possesses an exceptional long-term emotional memory. From a research standpoint, this memory is not obsessive, it is contextual. Scorpio remembers how situations felt, not just what happened. They retain emotional data that informs future decisions. When hurt, Scorpio does not constantly revisit the past. They archive it. And once archived, it becomes reference material for all future interaction. This is why people are often surprised when a Scorpio never returns to a dynamic that once failed. The memory has already completed its function. From a karmic perspective, memory enables delayed consequence. Not immediate reaction, but long-term outcome correction. Scorpio does not seek closure through repetition. They learn once and adjust permanently. Life lesson. Memory is not meant to trap us in the past. It is meant to prevent repetition. Scorpio teaches that remembering is not about holding grudges. It is about protecting the future. When lessons are learned fully, cycles do not need to repeat. If this lesson resonates with your experience, comment below. And this brings us naturally to the next reason. Because memory shapes Scorpio's resistance to control. Reason 3. Scorpio resists control at a core level. Scorpio has an innate resistance to control. From a research perspective, this is not rebellion, it is self-governance. Scorpio possesses a deeply rooted sense of autonomy. They instinctively recognize when someone attempts to dominate, manipulate, or restrict their emotional freedom. When control is applied, Scorpio does not submit. They disengage. Attempts to overpower a Scorpio often trigger the opposite effect: distance, silence, and permanent emotional withdrawal. This resistance is not emotional defiance, it is structural protection. From a karmic standpoint, control creates imbalance, and karma responds by dismantling power that is misused. People who attempt to control a Scorpio frequently experience loss of influence, not because Scorpio retaliates, but because alignment collapses. Scorpio understands that power gained through force cannot sustain itself, so they remove themselves and allow the imbalance to correct naturally. Life lesson. Control destroys connection. Scorpio teaches that true influence is never taken. It is granted. When someone attempts to dominate rather than relate, the bond ends before the conflict begins. If this lesson reflects something you've experienced, comment below. And this leads us directly to the next reason. Because Scorpio's resistance to control is inseparable from how they love. Reason 2. Scorpio's intensity in love creates lasting consequence. Scorpio does not love lightly. From a research perspective, Scorpio approaches love as total immersion. When they commit emotionally, they give without reserve. This intensity creates profound connection, but it also raises the stakes. When trust is honored, Scorpio's love is transformative. When it is betrayed, the emotional rupture is enduring. Scorpio does not cycle through emotional attachments casually. Each bond leaves an imprint. This is why betrayal in Scorpio relationships produces long-lasting karmic effects. Not because Scorpio holds on to pain, but because deep emotional investment alters energetic trajectory. From a karmic standpoint, love magnifies consequence. The deeper the bond, the longer the lesson lasts. Scorpio understands that love is not just a feeling, it is an energetic commitment. When that commitment is violated, the universe responds proportionally. Life lesson. Depth demands responsibility. Scorpio teaches that love entered carelessly cannot be exited cleanly. When emotions are invested fully, every action carries weight. If this insight resonates with your own experiences, comment below. And this brings us to the final reason. Because everything ultimately returns to Scorpio's inner strength. Reason 1. Scorpio's inner strength completes the karmic cycle. At the core of Scorpio lies exceptional inner strength. From a long-term research perspective, this strength is not dominance or aggression. It is endurance combined with self-awareness. Scorpio can withstand emotional injury, betrayal, and loss without losing their sense of self. They bend, but they do not fracture. When hurt, Scorpio does not seek validation, revenge, or external justice. They rely on internal stability. This is what completes the karmic cycle. Because karma responds differently to those who remain centered under pressure. When someone maintains integrity despite harm, the imbalance no longer belongs to them. Scorpio's strength allows them to exit the karmic exchange entirely. And when one party exits with clarity, the remaining weight settles where it originated. This is why attempts to break a Scorpio often fail quietly. The Scorpio rises and the lesson redirects. From a karmic standpoint, inner strength is the final authority. It determines where consequence lands. Scorpio does not carry unresolved karma forward. They transform it, integrate it, and move on. Life lesson. Strength is not proven by retaliation. It is proven by stability. Scorpio teaches that when you remain grounded while others act unconsciously, the universe recalibrates around you. Inner strength does not demand justice, it attracts balance. If this lesson resonates with something you've lived through, comment below. And with that, we reach the final understanding. Conclusion. The real warning is not about Scorpio. Most people misunderstand this message. This was never about fearing Scorpio, and it was never about revenge. It was about understanding how karma responds to depth, integrity, and boundaries. Scorpio does not punish. Scorpio reveals. They reveal where trust was mishandled, where respect was missing, where intention lacked awareness. When you hurt a Scorpio, the consequence does not come from them. It comes from the imbalance created by your own actions. And in 2026, karma does not rush to teach lessons. It allows space. It allows time. And then it corrects direction quietly. The real warning is not never hurt a Scorpio. The real warning is this: be mindful of how you treat people who operate with depth, loyalty, and integrity, because the universe takes those exchanges seriously. When boundaries are crossed without awareness, karma does not argue. It adjusts. If this entire message has resonated with you, leave a comment below and share what stood out most. And remember, karma does not need noise to be powerful. Silence is often enough. If you value insights that go beyond surface astrology and you're drawn to understanding karma depth and human nature on a deeper level, then subscribe to this channel. Here we don't chase predictions. We study patterns. We explore consequences. And we uncover the quiet laws that shape our lives. New videos are released regularly for those who want clarity instead of noise and wisdom instead of fear. If this message resonated with you, subscribe now, the eternal flame of Scorpio, and continue walking this path of awareness with us.